and welcome back to another video. I'm going to show you what I do to prepare for school the next day. Now this isn't what I do every single night because I am human. If I don't prepare the lesson the night prior, I sort of just throw things at the whole day the next day, and I try my best to get it done. But I do try to pre-read, which I will show you, and go through my checklists. I will, in a couple minutes, pan over my desk area. My husband, who is very tidy and organized, he just marvels at how different our minds work as far as how we do things. I have tried to put things away into binders and folders, and I find that I do not open them and I do not use them. And if I am to use anything, I can't have it in a binder. So everything that I use is on the wall because then I see it and I don't forget about it and I remember to use it. Otherwise, even if I know it's in the binder, I don't know if it's laziness, I don't know what it is, but I will not open the binder, flip to the page. As easy as that seems, I won't do it. All right, the first thing I will do, I have my Kinderleben is a term used. I know CMEC uses it, but it's often referred to as children that are not of school age yet. And I have basically ideas of what we do in a day, and we don't do all of them, and I just pick and choose, and they typically end up doing what I'm doing with my older one. The make bed habit is conquered. I have a video on habits if you'd like to see that. I do need to update my board because the habit we're training for is order, and we're trying to get things in order, and we've conquered these. So I need to go back over them and mind them every now and again, but I need to redo this to move on to a new habit of order. My kids come inside the house, they close the door after them, they put their coats and shoes away where they go, they make their beds, and I don't have to ask them to do any of it because we train for habits. And I will do a more extensive video about that, but I did have a starter video up if you'd like to see that. They basically do the same poetry we do when we read it at lunchtime. I have an ASL playlist on YouTube that we sing along to, and I hang the picture study. For kindergarten, this is not an extensive artist or picture study. It is just, I hang it at their eye level, and I hang up a beautiful picture on the door, and I change it out. I've got several that I got from Riverband Press, and the kids just look at this as they come and go, and I change it out every once in a while, and that's for the Kinderleben age group. Now, if you're following a Charlotte Mason curriculum, they're going to be separated into forms, and Form 1B is the first level. I've done all this. I guess I could be using an eraser, but this is another part about me that my husband just adores, is I don't tend to care much about stuff like that. We've been habit training, and I need to update the habit. Okay, we've got that down. Prepare the math usually consists of me, and what I do is, this DVD player usually starts off where you left, but sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes I have to find the lesson and skip forward, but I like to make sure that it's...
This is the very end of Decimal Street.
It's near the lesson that we started off at. That's where we were last time. But I'd like to go to the beginning because I remember everyone was talking. There we go.
You probably know how to...
So let's stop it here, because that's where I'd like to start. And that's what I do to get his math ready. And then after we watch this DVD together, he'll just pull his math book out and we'll do it. And that's what I mean by preparing math. Preparing handwriting, I have it all in a binder, and I usually flip it to the right page, and then I get the next book in the loop. If you watched my How I Homeschool, I explain what a loop is and what I do. And then we review the music, the hymn, and the folk song that I don't always have to review because we don't do so many. We only do so many per term. So if I've already selected it for the term and we don't need to switch, then I don't update this. So I sit down here every night and I look at this. And if I do need to update anything, I will. And then our loop list needs to be updated. Get next book in loop. And then I look to see which book that is. And then I lay it all on my desk here. The books that we were using, I'm not very prepared for this video, are downstairs. But let's pretend we haven't finished this and I need this one. And I look at my checklist and I'm like, okay, we need this, this, that. And our handwriting curriculum is downstairs because we were just using it. Usually the ones I'm using are all sitting downstairs. But if not, I have it all set out here in a stack so that I can just grab it and we can go downstairs and hang out, because I do typically do all of the reading and stuff downstairs. We're cuddled up on the couch or sitting at the dining room table while they're eating. And math is really the only one that I do up here because that big box of manipulatives gets thrown around literally by the little kids, and I don't want to lose the pieces. So we will do math up here. Then I look on to my list. Oh, let me show you how I pre-read. Okay, let me grab my logbook. I will sit down with the book that we plan to read the following day, and I will basically skim it. I read it and think, are there any videos I want to show him before? Which I did. We actually did this one just recently. I showed him the wooden clogs. And I look for anything in here that I feel like he wouldn't know. I just watch a couple seconds of it so that it saves in my YouTube history. And then the next morning, I just look at my history and then I watch the ones that I found with him. Not all of it. I don't spend hours watching these videos. Maybe just 10 seconds of a little video I found to show him some things about Dutch people, to give him an idea of what it's like. I got this from Amazon. This is like the answer key, I guess, and you can write on them. And we write all over this thing. We drew Christopher Columbus's trip and everywhere he went, and anytime somebody explores, like the Vikings when they were in Greenland, we tracked all that around here. I remember pre-reading this and learning, I used to think Holland was in the Netherlands, but Holland is sort of informally called the Netherlands. It's an interchangeable, you can look up the provinces and everything like that. And I'm learning right alongside my son, because my education was not as rich and I was in public school and geography was not something I ever learned. I didn't learn the state capitals or anything like that. I was so poorly educated. So if you feel like you can't homeschool, girl, please. I'm like, I learn something every single time I prepare a lesson for my son. So I will look up maps and be able to have him point to where it is. And so I'll give him the little marker and he'll draw on here. I might find some YouTube videos about what the wooden clogs looked like and whatnot. And then I will tell him a captain idea about the story we're about to read, and that kind of gives him the ability to understand. Because if you just jump into this and he's trying to listen, especially if he's very new at narrating, I'll make a video about narrating too, it's very important, then he's a little bit overwhelmed. But if you give him what's called a captain idea, which is basically a quick summary, like a one-liner, very quick, about what he's about to read, then he understands. So after I have showed him some maps, showed him a couple videos, if I feel like I need to, then I will say, we're going to read a story about a little girl who lives in Holland, and her name is Mina, and we're going to learn about what her life was like there. And that's basically all I'll say. So now he's prepared to understand what is in the story, and we will read whatever book we're on in our loop. And I will do the same for all of those things, and that's how I pre-read. So I will make an effort to pre-read just so that I can have the lesson prepared, because there's you really shouldn't interrupt a reading with videos or maps or explanations. You want the reading to be done in one go that he can narrate from. You can break up the reading and pause after each paragraph or maybe after each page for him to narrate, depending on his or her ability to do so. Narrating takes practice and they will get better. I can't wait to do a video on that. Speaking of narration, I even have, this is the book No and Tell that I keep telling everybody to get, and I have this on my wall about how to narrate at his age, and I refer to it sometimes just to remind myself. This is one about poetry narration, and I keep all of this stuff on my wall or I will not use it. So after I pre-read, and then I carry on to my mother's to-do list, which is the first thing I need to do is my logbook entry, and I showed this, I think, on my Instagram, which is the same name as this, or maybe I did it in a video, but this is a logbook. It's just an outdated calendar. It's a Pioneer Woman. I've got some stuff that I refer to in here, taped right in the front, and I will make a huge video about what a logbook is, but there are videos already out there on the internet. But if you'd like to see my system, I will show it to you, and you basically log what you've done, not what you need to do, things that you've done, things that you've accomplished. And so everything that we were able to do that day, that's the first thing I do on my checkbook, is log it into my logbook. Then I have on my mother's to-do list is the Josiah plan of the day. So to remind myself to get his Form 1B checklist done. Then the Kinderleben plan of the day, which is up there. I showed that to you. There are a lot of Charlotte Mason programs. Ambleside Online is free. There's CMEC, Alvieri, Simply Charlotte Mason, Charlotte Mason curricula. A Gentle Feast is one of them. I was trying to get a feel for what I wanted and try it, practice it, see if I'd even use it. So far, I think that CMEC is my favorite because basically you just read to your kids a lot. And all of the things that you need to know about Charlotte Mason are online, especially if you can navigate Ambleside online. They talk about recitation, copywork, narration. There's even a Facebook group, totally free. There's just free resources everywhere. And I don't know that it's, aside from getting access to that Mother's Education course, I don't know that I would purchase CMEC. I have the Commonplace Reflection, which is this book here. If I'm not making a YouTube video during their quiet time, which they're having right now, which is when the youngest one naps, if I'm not making a YouTube video, I will typically do my scripture memory or read from one of the books that I'm reading. And this little post-it note has all of the books that I'm reading right now, and I cycle through them. I need to cross some of those off because I have finished a lot of them. But as I read all of these self-help books, all of this rich literature, all of these great ideas, I write down the ones that stand out to me. This is Proverbs 18:2. This is a quote from Helen Keller. This is a quote my sister shared. This is a quote from No and Tell. This is from Clay Trumbull's Hints on Child Training from 1890. This is from Clay Clarkson. This is an article from the PNEU. Teaching from Rest, C.S. Lewis, St. Augustine. Anytime I read something and I come across something that's very impactful, I write it down in my commonplace. So if I have this with me while I'm reading and I come across something, I will just write it down right away. Otherwise, I'll take a picture with my phone. So that check box means, you know, go through my phone for the day if I remember taking pictures of things that I read and put that in my commonplace. Because what's the point in learning all of these amazing ideas if you're never going to remember them? Think of all the books you've ever read and have all the books that have impacted you. Can you even recall anything off the top of your head? You know that it was good, but what was good about it? So keep a commonplace notebook where all of the ideas that have impacted you can stay, and then you can review it. Some people even go so far as to put them on index cards and categorize them so that they can review them if they're struggling in a certain area. But this is my commonplace. On this same shelf is my prayer journal, which I'm not going to open, and I write my prayers. A lot of people ask for me to pray for them and whatnot, and sometimes I just write their name and then pray for them a lot, like here by myself, or sometimes I actually write a prayer. Just depends on, I don't know why I do what I do, but sometimes I write it and sometimes I don't. And a YouTube outline is basically not used yet because I don't have a schedule, and I have so many ideas. And so many people have asked for different things where when I intended to make a certain video about something, somebody else asks for something else, which is why I'm doing this one. But so if you do want video requests about anything, if someone comments what they want to see, that takes precedence over an idea that I had because I want to make things that would be helpful to you. And I don't always know what those are. And that is basically how I prepare a homeschool day. It includes preparing for my child's education as well as my education. The Mother Culture, if you will, which is an amazing book, by the way. And then sometimes I sit here after I'm all done. It doesn't take me but 20 minutes. And sometimes I sit here after I'm all done and I practice my handwriting, which is always fun. I'm trying to learn Spencerian script because I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video and I hope that it was helpful. If you have questions about anything that I said, because I am kind of all over the place, I'm trying to watch the kids and I don't know where the baby monitor is and listen for the baby while I'm making this. I'm not very active on Instagram because truly I try not to keep my phone with me as much as possible because it is an absolute distraction and I will scroll or watch YouTube videos about planning and stickers. Forgive if you don't like that sort of thing. I try to make my videos very obvious when I'm doing something that's about planners and then when I'm doing something about homeschool so that you can click the video that you care to watch. But I will be putting a mix of all kinds of videos on this YouTube channel. Cook with me's, what's for dinners, anything that I fancy, I'm gonna put it out there. And I try to make the title very clear so that you can skip the ones you don't like. Anyway, but if you do want to find me over on Instagram, it's You May Have Peace on Instagram also, and I do pop on there a little bit more frequently than I am on YouTube, okay? I'll see you guys next video. Bye.